I started my primary school at Bayero University Staff School.
Then I went to a boarding primary school.
I started my primary education in Sokoto State.
I had a fair playing ground, which was very, very unusual at that time.
Right now, if you say Professor Galadenchi, they will tell you, is it the older Professor Galadenchi or is it the younger, the daughter Professor Galadenchi? So I'm sure my dad is very proud that we followed his steps in terms of education.
A lot of families still believe that it's the boy that will end up being the breadwinner and taking care of the family. So the girl gets less attention.
I remember from my house to that school was about, if you're going to trek, it's about 2 hours. But we have to trek it every day. It wasn't easy. There was no time we used any transport system. It's just our leg. The encouragement I get most from my mom, Okwechime, we wanted to make her proud. We wanted her to be happy because we saw what she was going through. It wasn't easy for her. She would do everything to make sure a child goes to school.
Sa jari a ilimin 'ya mace shi ne zai zama babban jarin da za ka saka a kasashe masu tasowa.
In Nigeria, there are 10.5 million children aged 6 to 14 who are out of school. With this number, Nigeria accounts for more than 1 in 5 out-of-school children globally and 45% of out-of-school children in West Africa. It is a burden that has not escaped the notice of governments, development partners and stakeholders alike. But just as worrying is that girls make up the majority of these out-of-school children, especially from northern Nigeria, where education indicators are significantly worse than the rest of the country. This is starting to change, however. Although much more slowly than stakeholders would like, northern Nigeria is beginning to see girls press forward to acquire qualitative basic education. With minimal but crucial support, Nigeria's women of the north are proving that with the right frameworks in place, the trend can change for the best, and society will be the winner for it.
I'm Professor Hadiza Shehu Galadenchi, and currently I'm a director of our Center for Advanced Medical Research and Training, which is a center within Bayero University, Kano, under the College of Health Sciences. I'm a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist in the College of Health Sciences and Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital.
My name is Aisha Abdu Dawakintufa. That's my maiden name. And, but I'm now known as Aisha Abdu Ismail. I am a teacher, and my regular activities as a teacher is that when I have lectures, I go to my class.
My name is Rabi Bashir. I'm a senior magistrate in Zamfara State. Currently now I'm the chairman of Rent Tribunal, Zamfara State.
My dad is an educationist, one of the pioneers of Bayero University, Kano, a teacher, a principal, and right from day one, he made us understand that the best he can do for any one of us was to give us education.
My parents, my father specifically, is educated, and he believes that we should all be educated. As he keeps saying, there is nothing to bequeath to a child but knowledge.
When I finished my secondary school, I was to go to the university, but of course, there were some protests from the extended family. My uncles believed that I shouldn't go to university because at that time a lot of people believed girls who went to university would end up being wayward.
My father is educated too, so he knows the value of education, maybe, probably, and his friend is not educated. He said he will only allow male children to go to school because he's a businessman. That was all. My father tried to encourage him to take his own girls to school. He said no. His belief was that girls will just eventually get spoiled.
I remember I had a teacher who was really encouraging me to ensure that I pass the exams that are taken for St. Louis Secondary School. What she told me is that if you don't pass that exam, I will kill you. And you know, at that age, to me, she really meant she was going to kill me. So, but I still remember her and I still pray for her. And she really groomed me, and I was able to pass the exam and move on to St. Louis Secondary School.
The reasons more children are out of school in northern Nigeria are myriad and rooted in the social, cultural, and economic environment. But they tend to affect girls more acutely. The barriers created are particularly tough for girls, affecting their ability to initially enroll in school, but also they constitute near systemic challenges to continuing education.
One of the fundamental challenge, I think, is the issue of, the support. There is no way a girl child will go to school or will go to higher education without the support of her parents.
My mom was a classroom teacher with a private school, and then my dad was still in school. Most of the challenges that one had at that time was school fees. My mom was paid 175 naira. That was her salary then.
I was the first girl in the entire family that went to the university. So it was a huge achievement for me. And I must add that it opened the doors for all other female children in the family to be allowed to go to university, judging by my performance and conduct while I was at the university.
Actually, it's rare for you to have women in such a line, but it's getting a bit better. But I know for quite a long time, each time we go to a high-level meeting, either a government meeting or international meeting, you tend to see that you might be the only female among so many other male counterparts. And especially in my profession as a gynecologist, unfortunately, a gynecologist is a doctor of women, but there are very few female gynecologists. So it's always been, you are one out of so many other male counterparts.
A combination of demand and supply factors come together to deny children the right to education, a cardinal aspect of the Sustainable Development Goals. Among these factors are negative perceptions and misguided notions about formal education. There are also long-held social norms and cultural practices that unfortunately deprive girls the chance of actualizing their full potential by acquiring key knowledge for life and living from the early years of development.
The challenges are multifaceted. They are multifaceted in the sense that sometimes the challenges are from the parents. Sometimes it is a societal challenge.
All the whole responsibility, family responsibility now rested on my mom's shoulder. It wasn't easy for her. She had to sell some things, like we're selling tiger nuts, alkaki and other things, just to meet up with school fees.
I still see situations where girls are removed from schools, or some are just into street hawking. They don't even go to schools at all.
These are children. And at that time, these children should basically be in school. So that is something that the society has to agree, it has to stop.
I married before I started my NCE. It is better for girls, even though they want to marry, they first of all finish their secondary school. At least if they finish their secondary school, they will be able to go to any lengths.
In our culture, as well as the environment where we stay, a lot of time you get married whilst you're still in school. That's not a problem. Because if you have a supportive husband, then you can continue your education.
Other factors affecting girl child education at great cost to the whole nation include poverty, threat to security, and poor learning outcomes. Notwithstanding, these and many other northern lights demonstrate that where the will exists, a way can be found.
But in most cases, it is out of the girl's hands. For instance, I could start with provision of an enabling school environment.
Like in a village or in a place where the school is very far away?
We're talking about having a school within the proximity of the community, because girls could be assaulted, they could be raped, and they could be kidnapped.
Parents will only take their children to school or their girl child to school if they know the environment is safe. They know that they have good teachers. They know that they have female teachers that can support the children. They know that their girls are not going to be victimized. Their girls are not going to learn bad habits. These are all the things that will be going through the parents' mind when they are deciding whether they will allow their girls to go to school or not.
Ina ba da shawara ga iyayenmu mata da kuma iyayen maza na waɗanda suke da 'ya'ya mata musamman, wanda yake yana da kyau su dinga kai su makaranta. Kamar yanzu wanga tsari da ake ɗaukowa da yaro ya taso, akwai nursery school wanda ake kai shi, kuma daga nan zai ci gaba da primary school da kuma secondary school har dai zuwa gaba.
Our girls have to be in school. Because if you allow them to go in school, they can actually finish the school and be something that will come and help you, even if you're trying to survive at that time, because then they will earn a living. And girls always go back to their parents.
There are families that cannot afford even the basic 3 square meals. You know, how would they cope with the problem of school uniform, writing materials, books, and so on, PTA levies, and so on and so forth, you know?
An educated woman is a woman who is a teacher to her children. She runs her family. She ends up to be a breadwinner, a partner to her husband, hygiene, a lot of things.
It has to do with a lot of discipline, mindset, you knowing what you want.
Being educated does not mean you lose to be who you are, all right? Education actually gives you the opportunity to do whatever you're doing better. If you're a wife, you become a better wife. If you're a mother, you become a better mother. If you're a daughter, you become a better daughter.
If there is a problem in a girl that is educated, misbehaving, or losing her values, or refusing to respect elders, then check the home ground. Probably there is a problem there. My mother is not educated. She was not educated. But she was able to support our father, and she also enabled and guided us to ensure that we continue on the path that they have trained us.
Now, your parental support don't end when you are just going to school. I remembered when I finished my specialization in Lagos, I had 3 children. In fact, I had 4 children. And then I was going to United Kingdom to go and do a master's. Now, there was no way I could carry 4 children and husband and go to UK. And my husband was working, so of course he's going to stay back and do his work. But then 4 of my kids were taken care of by my mom and my dad whilst I was away for 1 year.
I had a discussion with my father. He called me, and I promised him that if he allowed me to go to the university, I was never going to be bored, and he would not regret it. And he accepted it and allowed me to go to university.
The support of the husband is key, because by the time in our environment a girl finishes secondary school and she's in the university, she's expected to get married. Now, if she gets married and her husband doesn't support her, that's a problem.
There is a burden and a responsibility on all of us that are educated, to show a good example.
I can tell myself that all this struggle today is worth it, because I am somebody today, and the education I acquired gave me an opportunity that I could talk and people would stand and listen.
Okay, today is, okay, we're in the theater, but today is 48 hours. Okay, so we take us some. Fatima, ya jiki. Ciwon kirjin ya yi sauki? Kina iya cin abinci duk? Kin san shi irin wannan ciwon kirjin ba a so a zauna ba a ci abinci ba a dade. Kina cin abinci sosai? I was basically maybe the 4th female doctor in Kano, and became the first consultant gynecologist in Kano, female. But now we have over 10 female consultants that we have trained. And you get to places and you see people saying that, you know, they want to be like you.
Since medical school, she's been teaching us, and whenever she comes to class, she's like the first female doctor I've known, like that I've had close contact with. Whenever she comes to class, mostly we don't even listen to the lectures. We're just looking at her. She just gives us this thing, like we just want to be her. We're so proud of her, and we just want one day to become somebody like her.
During the rounds, she takes her time and to get into the details, to find out how the care of the patient is being, you know, practiced, how we do the practice and what could be improved, and always putting us through those little, you know, details.
Every father will want his daughter to be like Professor Aisha. She is a role model in the society. She has been doing a lot in terms of educating the girl child.
We are living in a society where women have not been, society is not supporting women to further their education due to some certain cultural norms. But seeing the way, seeing Professor Aisha and a lot of women that goes to a higher level, I feel more, by seeing them, I feel that I really want to be at that level.
I'm actually proud to be under her tutelage, but I wish I could have more time with her and all that. But my last encounter with her, she actually showed me that a woman can be so patient, you know, in impacting knowledge, you know, in teaching you the right things to do, especially for a department like this.
I want to be like her. She's my mentor. I copied every step of her moves, the way she dressed. At times, I talk the way she talks.
Northern Nigeria is part of the backward in terms of education. And getting a professor from that context, from that community, is one thing. And also, not only a professor, but a professor with a lot of potential beyond the PhD, the professional title, but also practically trying to mitigate the problems of the community. Not only trying to mitigate, putting it into practical in all ramifications of her work. And that are things that we think the young people need to understand from her. And we think that by listening to her, we can easily inspire the young minds and get a lot of her to reflect in the community.
I've seen how women have been harassed and their rights being pressed down. There's no one to speak for us. So I thought it would be a good thing if I study law I have that knowledge, it will be a good thing. It could add more advantage. I'll be able to fight for women.
If there is a law and the village heads are able to help us and make sure every head of family is cautioned that a girl must complete that basic secondary education before she's married, it will help a lot.
Basic education, primary school, up to a certain level in secondary school. In fact, probably the first level of JS3. It should be the responsibility of government to provide good school, good teachers, and ensure that primary school, our young girls finish primary school up to the level of at least JS3.
I am fulfilled, and my goal is to see other girls educated, is to see a society without those societal vices that are very prevalent, is to see a more stronger family unit.
Well, my next goal is trying to see how I can acquire a master's degree and later a doctorate degree, because I hope that one day I'll be a prof.
I give praise to Allah. God has been good to me. I have a very supportive family and friends. I have been able to achieve a lot within the period from my school days to my working days. I have had wonderful colleagues. And in summary, I would say, yes, I feel fulfilled.
The cost for not educating girls is very high for all societies. While our national development will be impacted in no small measure by the quality of investment in all children, the results of not educating girls are very telling on national health care, economy, and even mortality. For instance, in sub-Saharan Africa, if all women completed primary education, maternal deaths would be reduced by a whopping 70%. When girls get a good basic education, their lives and their households are significantly improved. In northern Nigeria, the development indices will improve about as quickly and surely as girls can be educated, and the proof of this can be seen in these women of the north.
Initially, it was my parents' decision, or by the time I was almost out of NC, it was my decision to either go to school or not. At that time, they were looking after others, they were not paying attention to me. So it was a choice if I wanted to go to school or to stop. If I wanted to stop, I would have stopped, and I wouldn't have been where I am today.
My final word to the girls is that you have to be determined. You have to be ready. You have to pledge that you will remain in school.
Kowace ya mace kira da nake mata shine ta tafi makaranta, ta daure, ta jure, ta yi karatu, ta gama karatunta.
Babu addinin da ya hana a nemi ilimi. Kowane addini yana ƙarfafa mana cewa mu nemi ilimi domin amfanin kanmu, domin kuma amfanin iyalinmu da duk wanda muke tattare da su.
It is very important that you get basic education, you get the best education, and once you're educated, you can get to achieve your dreams. And you can make an impact not only to your society, but to the nation and to the world as a whole. So go out there and get the education that you require.
Ilimi na da amfani. Kowace yarinya tana da matsayi. Kowane yaro ya cancanta ya samu ilimi. Ku bar 'ya'yanmu mata a makaranta. 'Yan matan G4G, na yi alkawari zan tsaya in yi karatu a makaranta.